Hey, folks, welcome back to The Pulse. My name is Matt. This is Crypto Heartbeat. It is 3:46 Central Texas time. And, folks, this is the insulin pump stream. You've been looking for a pump stream. You know what? It's time to pump you up again. Like Hans and Franz back in the 90s, folks, I'm going to provide that for you today because there are some reasons to be optimistic. And you know what? Don't listen to the other folks getting you down, all worried about all the FUD. No, today I'm going to give you a sensible man, a man with, I accurately know what it's like to pump things up when it comes to the insulin. You need a shot, just like Brandon, who's fasting. It's it's a blood sugar low. It's a hangry moment, if you will. And folks, I'm here to bring you some really good news, in my opinion. I'm going to give you a little bit of prognosticating as well, but there's a couple events that happened today that I think are newsworthy, noteworthy, you need to know about. One of them's really, really fresh, the FOMC meeting, thoughts about that and what's going to be going on, because that's the big macro indicator, right? What's going to drive the pump? Right? You're like, well, is it the Bitcoin halving? What's going to happen with the Fed? I think everything is related to the Fed. And so, if we really want to have that big, big, big bull run that you're hoping we have, that's what we've got to do. We've got to consider what's happening with the money printer. And that's what we'll talk about today. But I'm so glad that you're here because there's a lot of other places you could be. And folks, you're the person who's like, you know what? I want to hear some sensible streaming. Right? That's why you're here. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you very much. Magnus, have to watch the replay. So tired. Absolutely. Hornet UK1's got all the Bible verses that you can handle in the chat. Thanks so much for that. Lenny D's like, hey, it's going to be a 10-cent pulse. Well, if you consider all the things that are happening in the next 24 months, there's a possibility anything could happen. Robert Keller, evening, y'all. Good to see you. My online ghost to see her. Snake Eyes, how long? Oh, a long time no see. Snake Eyes. Hey, every time I see somebody new that's come back, it's a good indicator. My ultimate indicator, though, is going to be Mark Rastelli. When he comes back, we know we're officially back. Blue Collar Grunt, what's going on? Let's pump it. Out to the people who do not know what crypto is and draw them to the Pulse chain. Well, the Pulse chain, as Somi says, is real DeFi. But what does that mean? And is that beneficial? And will people realize, man, there needs to be an alternative? Yes, there does. That's what we're all about. This is the pump stream, folks. I'm going to bring your blood sugar to the next level. That's the plan. Got a good attitude today. Mike, what's going on? Ada Mac, good to see you. And Quinn is here as usual. Thank you so much for bringing the joy into the chat. The best news, absolutely. That's right. $1.47 hex would be nice too. M Reserve 9, welcome back. Good to join again. Good to have you here. And all the way from Spain, Crypto Pez. Evening, everyone. What are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about reasons that we ought to be encouraged. And you know what? In a sea of bad news, we're going to give you some good news today. We're going to be talking about two big things, but ultimately to pump things up across the board, right? Every time we've ever done this, had a good attitude, you know what? It rubs off on people. And sometimes you need someone who's going to encourage you because you've likely been down. I was down earlier today and I had a friend encourage me, right? So I'm going to encourage you. Folks, ready to go, ready to go. Oh my goodness. Don't tarry till I come. Yes, that he tarry till I come. What is that to thee? Follow thou me. Goliad, Texan, what's going on? Robert Keller, Sugar Comatose. There you go. And Godfather J6, welcome. All right, here we go. You saw this, right? Today was the FOMC meeting. This is the Fed's December meeting that happened at 2:30 Eastern time today. And so this is the freshest news of the day. If you didn't catch it, you need to see what's happening, right? We've got some confirmation from Jay Powell. And so let's take a look at this article real quick. I mean, it's the high level stuff that you need to know about. What did he indicate that was coming? And this is it, folks. The Fed holds rates steady, signals 3 rate cuts in 2024. Well, I told you there was reason to be optimistic. It's all lining up for the halvening, right? All of the stuff that we talked about in the past, the fact that this Charlie 19 created this massive debt bubble, and we've got to be able to manage that. Do you think they want to be paying debt at these high rates? No. They have to turn the money printer back on. right? They've said they've tightened it. So the Federal Reserve kept interest rates unchanged at the conclusion of today's policy meeting. The decision was widely expected, keeping the target range for the federal funds rate between 5.25 and 5.5%. Officials see the central bank keeping their monetary policy tighter next year than Wall Street had expected. And this forecast, they're talking about. Well, let's look at what the quote is from Jay Powell. He said, "We believe that our policy rate is likely at or near its peak for this tightening cycle." Boy, oh boy. You remember when this started moving up. You remember when all this stuff started tightening. Here's the thing. They have no other choice. And you know what? Even if we see inflation rise, I can't imagine. I mean, it's almost like this lever, they have no other choice. The last time around, at the last meeting, there was a public letter from the National Association of Realtors saying that you got to stop this. We have to make a living. We have to survive. Folks, all this stuff's going to end up crumbling. But as far as crypto is concerned and the opportunity, this is a good sign, right? You've weathered this storm. And we know it, right? We're at December, mid-December. We see the halvening coming up in April, right? A new year, got some of these new forward-looking indicators like this. I'm bullish because of these comments, that there's assumption that there's going to be 3 rate cuts in 2024. Folks, I think they have no choice except but to turn the printer back on, and that's going to be good. But here's even better news. Why is this a pump stream? Here's why this is a pump stream. I'm going to read the intro. Actually, I'll throw it up here. I prepared something for you. All right, this is the all right, you'll like this one too. You may know about this one. They've talked about this in the past, but let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit for you. Bitcoin and crypto to be measured at fair value under new FASB rules. This has been news in the past, but this is pretty exciting. The rules are set to go into effect December 15th. We're 2 days away from this. Okay. So let me read this to you because I think this is really important. This is big news from the Financial Accounting Standards Board. And the FASB, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are about to get a whole lot more transparent. Starting December 2024, companies will have to value these digital assets at fair value, meaning their financial statements will reflect the real-time market price. Folks, they have not been counting them at their fair real-time market price. So let me give you an example. The Financial Accounting Standards Board, they're the ones that do the GAAP accounting, right? How do you account for Bitcoin or, any of these cryptocurrencies on your balance sheet? And in the past, they have limited the gains. And now they're going to go to real-time market pricing, not just the cost at purchase. This is a major shift in the crypto world, providing investors with a clearer picture of companies' holdings and potential risks. What I think is great about this is, if you choose wisely as a company, there's a very good possibility that your core business model doesn't produce more than 25, 30% of EBITDA. And so can you imagine you add some Bitcoin, you add some Ethereum, you add some of these things to your balance sheet, and it's really good for your year. I know people are going to be doing this. This rule change is huge. It goes into effect in 2 days. But what's interesting about this is the early adopters. Companies eager to adopt this new standard early don't have to wait until December of next year. So December of next year is kind of official. Everything is forward. The FASB allows for early adoption, meaning you could see these fair value adjustments on balance sheets as early as the first quarter of 2024. This is a big deal, right? Think about companies who are sitting on cash and think about what the benefit is if they're in the blue chips. This drives more money into crypto. This is a very, very big deal, and it goes into effect for early adopters in 2 days. Do you know how many people are sitting on cash in businesses and would like to park it in something that could increase? Let's just use Bitcoin as an example, because I think that the majority of people that are in companies and in businesses, right, they're going to be conservative about putting things into crypto. And just imagine if you had to talk to a board or whatever you had to do in order to convince people that, hey, we should do this. Well, MicroStrategies did this, took the big risk, right? Is that a benefit to them? Well, here's the cool thing. there are so many people excited about this because this affects the bottom line. If the fair value, right? So let's say we're sitting at what, $42,000 Bitcoin, and all this money comes in because people are like, hey, let's buy it and put it on our balance sheet. Well, it's a cyclical trade, right? You're going to hold it as a store of value. And I would say this is going to bring a tremendous amount of revenue or income or no capital into the crypto space. And I think we're going to see that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this happening very, very soon, right in the first quarter. And so, this combination of indicators that we've reached the top of the cycle as far as interest rates, and then the change in the rules to have fair value. Imagine that. Imagine you bought at 42, and let's say it went to, I don't know, $72,000 a piece, right, in a year, or 62,000. It doesn't have to be this massive gain. I mean, think about your asset doubling in value and you getting to claim it at a fair value. I mean, that's directly affects your bottom line. And so I think it's going to be really attractive for people who are sitting on cash is to put it into crypto, and that will drive the value. So I think this one component, this is one component that the Financial Accounting Standards Board is giving a gift to crypto, because this is where the real money sits. It doesn't sit in degen hands. It sits in businesses as cash. Folks, pay attention. There's a reason it's a pump stream. You needed it. I needed it. So this combination of two very poignant things that are happening right now in the news, I think are significant reasons for you to be optimistic and to not give up, because that's the other thing. Now, here's the last thing I wanted to share with you that I think is the kicker of all of this. And this is kind of my prognosticating, if you will. Think about this for a second. Richard Hart is not a guy who bucks the trend. And what I mean by that, he is when it comes to marketing, but he's not stupid. He understands there was a thing called altcoin summer, right? The reason that Hex went up 10,000x in 623 days is because it rode a wave. It wasn't the only thing that was running. But think about this for a second. Think about inertia, right? This idea that you would add energy to something, and something that's rolling downhill. If you continue to push this thing downhill, it accelerates. That's what happens in this market. And there's a ton of people, in my opinion, that have not capitulated, that understand where we are in the market. They have significant resources and they're waiting for the market to turn. They obviously are thinking about the halvening, but these other components are extremely helpful. So when this thing rips, it's going to rip. I'm confident of it. Why? Because crypto is becoming mainstream. And the growth of dollars in, obviously, S curve of Bitcoin, it's the top of the S curve. Are they going to see 100x returns on Bitcoin? No. But we need this kind of increase in capital into the marketplace. And it's going to be really good because we know that where Bitcoin and Ethereum go, the altcoins follow. And it gives more and more confidence to the market. But we have not had this in the past. Businesses that have been sitting on cash haven't had the opportunity to literally claim the value, the fair market value. And so in the past, what was happening was you had to basically put in the value that you bought it at. Well, if it appreciated, you didn't get the benefit on your balance sheet and in your bottom line. That changes in 2 days. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying and how big of a deal it is. So we're going to see that. It's changed. The gap accounting rules have changed. Big deal. Okay. Number 2, Jerome Powell says, hey, we're likely done raising interest rates. Hey, 2024 is coming up. Happy New Year to you. And then the halvening. I mean, seriously, bags packed, folks. Then the big thing, and I'll share that right after we get back into the chat and say hello to those who have joined. But I'm pumped up. You should be pumped up. Let's go, right? I'm trying to give you some of the energy that I've got, because you know what? What's the choice of you have? I mean, you could get fudded out. We're not going to get fudded out. And I'm going to tell you why. Because throughout this entire bear market, I have been here. Rags has been here. We have been here through the whole thing, helping you. Because you know what? Community is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. We will see our day. But folks, there's a lot more going on. If you saw the last stream about convergence, you know that a lot of things are coming together. We'll talk about that here in a second as well, as a little bit of a reminder, a recap for you. But let's see who else has joined us since Godfather J6 said, God bless y'all. Say to our Father. Francis Powell, hello all. Hex Glenn is here. What's going on? Yeah, it would be nice to get a like, wouldn't it be? Ted Walker, should we buy the dip? I don't know. I don't provide you with financial advice, but I think about the macro stuff, right? I'm not a guy who's looking at the charts, right? I don't do astrology for men, but I'm looking at this going, hey, this has got to shift at some point in time. And what are the leading indicators of it? Obviously, these big macro things that you see out in the future, but what are these specific things this is the first time that the standards board has literally said you can take your crypto and you can count it as fair market value. That's a big deal, folks, right? You got something at 40 and it goes up to 60 in the year that you're accounting for, you have a gain. I mean, most businesses that I've been a part of that you're hustling and struggling with, if you can push 25% to the bottom line in EBITDA, that's a good business. There's not a lot of businesses that double, right? I mean, regular businesses, right? The electrical supply, the guy who's doing the tire business, you got a trucking company or whatever it is, right? Your dry cleaner. Who uses a dry cleaner? They have to print. You're absolutely right. They have to print. They have to print because they literally, they have to service the debt. They have to service the debt. Ted Walker. Oh, so now you're a Bitcoin shiller? No, not a Bitcoin shiller at all, Ted Walker. I'm a person bringing news to you. And the news is you can put Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies on your balance sheet. So here's the question. Does more money coming into crypto benefit us or not? Does the pumping of Bitcoin help the sentiment in the market for the altcoins? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, my friend, if you've been paying attention. Sam Kemp, late again. Good to see you, buddy. That's a really big deal. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Goliad Texan, thanks for the price. Appreciate you so much. That's trillions, not billions of dollars that could be coming in. Absolutely. Hex Force One. Hello, everyone. Evo, what's going on? Good to see you. Hornet UK, I'm not trying to avoid you, but that's another topic, and we can talk about that on Friday. Be happy to do it. Blessings to catch you live. Thanks, Daryl Humphreys. Appreciate you. Liberty or death. Always buying. DCA in absolutely. All right, so let's talk about this. We mentioned the FOMC meeting, right? They're going to pause. They continued to pause. They didn't raise interest rates, and they've indicated that there will be potentially 3 cuts in 2024. That's a signal. Okay. So 2024, we've been hoping has been indicating, good times or better times. Okay. Number 2, all of crypto is now going to be considered at fair value, whatever that fair value is. Okay. That's a big deal. More money is going to be coming in because businesses with cash are going to be able to put it on their balance sheet, and it's going to help their bottom line because of the growth in this cycle. More money into Bitcoin and Ethereum means more money and more confidence of people in the altcoins. 3, Richard Hart. Folks, all this stuff with SEC and the FUD and I don't, gaming tokens are going up, but Pulse Chain's not going up. I reminded you yesterday, and I'll say it again. This is the best part of this. Richard Hart is in it for the glory. And what is the glory? He is in it to win it. He is not going to just go away. And why do I know that? Because he cares too much about the legacy, and he cares too much about the glory. And he knows he's right in this situation, and he knows he's built a better Bitcoin with Hex. But he's also spent a lot of time, energy, and effort with the Pulse chain and done some really great moves about copying over all these coins. Now, did you want it to go up straight up, and did you want to not have the SEC? What's interesting is when I think we look back at this, I think one of the best things that have ever happened is the SEC, right? And we see that, hold on, all of this focus and all this attention, we got a feature length film, but there's a redemption process in this, and I think it comes at the right time. And what is the right time? The right time is the halvening, right? When all of these other things are moving in that direction. But let me remind you of this. Let's you had a bunch of money right today. Would you, if you had the ability to pump the market, right? Remember those God candle? I think we referred to that as the God whale came in and like literally doubled the price of Hex in the early days. You wouldn't want to do that right now because not everyone's shaken out, right? There's still some people that if you threw some liquidity into the marketplace and you pump the price, you'd have a bunch of people selling into it. So we haven't shaken everyone out. And so that means the sentiment hasn't changed and there's still some poor people that need to cash out and they can't hold. But as the sentiment changes, that's when we're going to see those who have resources, including the Richard Hart himself, and those who understand how this game is played, is that if you look back at the story of the 623 day 10,000x of Hex, there were people that were whales who protected the price of Hex. Period. End of sentence. Right? It's like the ball is right now, we've been pushing it up the hill and there's just nothing you can do. You got that weight against you. And there's a point in which it gets to the crest of the hill, right? For the other side. That's the shift in the market and the shift in its sentiment and more dollars in and Bitcoin ETF and a new year and the, FOMC stopping, tightening. And so loosening their, and lowering interest rates, ideally, turning the money printer back on, and then the halvening, right? These are all psychological cycle things that are going to have to shift. But let's say it does crest the top of the hill and it starts to roll on its own, right? Gravity is pulling it down. What do you end up having? Hey, we're going to push it a little bit. That's what happened last time, folks. But a lot of people are just, oh man, there's $600 million worth of DAI sitting in that wallet and all this. Well, the things are up in the air. But if there's ever a time for them to be up in the air, it's right now. Trust me, folks, momentum is a real thing. And right now, we're still pushing a stone up a hill. And so that's why you don't see a bunch of people that have a lot of money, because they're smart. That's why they have a lot of money. They'd much rather add, trajectory and speed to this ball rolling down the hill. They want to make it faster. And so we've seen that happen. Why have we seen Hex rip so much? Thin liquidity, right? Because you've got staking, buying and holding. You don't have a thick order book. Why? Because the incentive is to buy and to hold. So thin liquidity means the price can go when you add a little bit of economic energy, if you will. But if you think that there's no thought process, that this is just general growth in the market, you're wrong. Because how do you promote? The best promotion of any token is green candles. But boy, what's the point of pumping it right now? Actually, I think we saw that in Mintra. Somebody thought that they could buy a big amount, show a green candle, and everybody would rush in. But the prevailing wind is not at our back right now. It's in our face still. And so these things that I bring up to you are making the case. The Fed, the accounting rules changing, the new year, just people just tired, new year, lowering interest rates in 2024. And we'll see when that happens. It may be slow going, the halvening. What does this stuff all mean? More and more dollars coming in, the total market cap of all of crypto growing. And then not to mention the whales that see the opportunity. And it's going to be go time at some point in time, folks. But do not forget, if Richard Hart was a founder who had to get rich on the Pulse chain, if that was the goal, like this is a poor guy, launched this thing and he needs to get rich. That's his goal. He's watching out for number one. I would say run as fast as you can. But what have we learned about him? He was rich before he started this. So it's not about the money. It's about the glory. And here's the thing that happens in DeFi. True DeFi requires that you consider others in addition to yourself. Oh, yeah, that's what we talked about yesterday. Richard Hart is an advocate, and he has set up a system, and our fates are intertwined. In order for him to get the glory, we have to win. So the people that stick it out, right? But we also have to have some things happen like, well, where are things headed? I think Richard Hart is seeing him ahead of time. Well, looks like governments around the world are trying to clamp down on people's free speech or their right to associate or their right to move or their right to have privacy. And he saw those things in advance. And so, what is the pulse chain if not the layer one, an ecosystem of freedom and sovereignty? Because everything else is being compromised. DeFi is the way. Why? Oh man, using IPFS and I have to do an extra click to get into the website. You're going to be so thankful that that's been properly distributed because when they do get shut down, you can literally say something out there and say, hey, can somebody send me that zip file? Folks, here's the thing. Cat's out of the bag. Pandora's box is open. And we are on the right side. Why? Because I'm aligning my resourcing with my values. And I think there needs to be an alternative to the CBDCs. And I think there needs to be a chain where those things are happening. And when I look out there and I see really smart, good people launching projects, doing good things out there with, I believe, the right intentions, I want to associate and be in community with those folks. That's you. So why pump stream? Because there's some, I think, some good news. Is it good news that the chart is pumping? No. It's good news that we're not, we're going to make it, folks. So many people are so like down. No, no, keep your head up. Keep your head up. Because there's so much more at stake here. I mean, think about this for a second. Do you think that governments around the world are going to become more interested in providing with more freedom and they want to no, this whole thing is leading to central bank digital currencies, which is a prevailing wind that all the money would be digital, to tracking, tracing, digital IDs, right? Your social credit score, all of these things. They're trying to clamp down on it. And what do they see? They see a threat from crypto in general. Look at Elizabeth Warren and what she's doing in the Senate with this new rule. They want to control it. Why? Because if it gets out of their hand, they can't fund the war machine. And all the people that fund them are really worried about it. But in my opinion, it's a poison pill because they have to have growth. Folks, if you've got a publicly traded company, you are literally at the mercy of the street, and the street demands growth. Right? You live and die based on growth. And so where do you get growth? Yield. Well, everyone I know that understands trustless yield, let's say in DeFi, was like, man, what would happen if the big boys understood trustless yield? They understand trustless yield, but it's not going to be attractive until they know that they can get out. So we have to increase the amount of liquidity and it needs to be locked, right? There's not a lot of trust. Do you know how small it is? The entire crypto market's 1.6 trillion. The DeFi market's what, 50 billion? Folks, literally, it's small comparatively. It needs to be mature. And we then have a chain itself that doesn't have all the right components yet, infrastructure-wise, and that's what people are building. So don't be impatient. Recognize that I think there's a convergence coming together. It's not only the market conditions, but also the political ones and leadership of Richard Hart, who's not going to compromise his principles. And what's funny is it's like, you're going to hear stories about, well, this chain got this deal with PayPal and this chain got this deal with these gaming folks and these people did something with MasterCard. Do not let it discourage you. That's not the business we're in. We're in the business of freedom and sovereignty through DeFi, which means you hold your own keys. You take responsibility for your action. And then when everything goes to hell in a handbasket and the next Charlie 19 comes around or whatever it is, likely a cyber attack, people are going to want to be able to do transactions outside of an authoritarian state. And we need to have an alternative. And the big boys, they want yield. You know what? As much as they're in control of this scarcity extraction model, they want to have yield, period. That's the number one thing. I've got to have yield. Nothing better than trustless yield, folks. You know it, I know it. It's what it's all about. Folks, if you haven't donated to encourage Brandon, who's been fasting for 72 hours, he's got about 4 hours left, I think. Folks, I want to encourage you. He is doing this. One, I think it's good for his health. He's seeing if he can make it. He's done well so far. And a number of other kind of hexagons, pulsicans have done this as well. But he's also doing something to encourage you to support people for Christmas. And if there's anything that Brandon has done over the years, it has helped people at Christmas time. 2 years ago, one of the most impactful things that I've ever seen online in our community was when Brandon went out of his way to raise capital for Mike and his daughter. And if you haven't seen that Christmas story from Brandon Rags to Riches, hopefully he will repost it because it's one of the most heartwarming things, but it's an indication of what our community is all about. People are watching out for each other. There are, compassionate people who want to contribute, right? So, folks, don't get yourself down. Be encouraged. That's what I'm telling you. Be encouraged. All right, let's see who else is here. Daryl, thanks so much. Liberty or death. Good to see you. Adam, what is this? Staraska, 24 and 25 will be awesome for crypto Texan. Well, here's the thing. This is big news as well. 139,000 petitions were delivered to the Republican Party of Texas. There was only 97,000 required. That's a lot more than they expected. 139,000 were delivered. You need 97,000 in order to get on the ballot of the Republican primary. Folks, what we've been doing here, everybody wants to shine something in your face, right? Look at my flashy thing that gets all this yield, right? And we've seen it over and over and over again in our community in the bear market, right? There's something new. It's the 414. It's this thing. It's that thing, right? There's always a flavor of the month. But the long-term benefits is what's happening in this world and how can we associate it with? What did we do with the Texan token? We created the first endowment contract on the blockchain that's tied to the first of its kind political, to supporting a political activity. And what's amazing about that is what's the utility of what we're doing with Texan? Folks, if you think for a minute that the giving that happened to the TNM did not impact the number of people who made that signed this petition, you are sadly mistaken. It was the catalyst. If it wasn't for the money that was raised in the Catalyst campaign around the Texan token launch and the effort that was put in by people like you and your generosity, this would not be on the ballot come March. Folks, this is a big deal. What is it? It's a referendum on the Republican Party primary that says, should Texas reassert itself as an independent nation, yes or no? And we're going to have that from voters in a primary. Folks, this is a big deal. Texas being independent, and you think about it, what does that mean for the Texan token? Well, folks, all the things I shared with you earlier fall into that category, right? What are the long-term beneficial things? And as things move, they move. So just take it for what it's worth. This is a really good sign, but it's progress in our plan from the very beginning. And that is to support this direction. That's why we're all completely committed to the Pulse chain, is because I believe that all these other chains are going to be compromised. And we need a place that we can transact privately. Adam, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Drix, what's up? Yeah, Matt's a freedom shiller. Amen to that. Isn't that the truth? What's up, Drix? The enemy is after you, but our God is greater and bigger. He is all. Boom. Agents of Change. There's Crypto Compassion. Thanks for all you do. You can catch him on the Texan Tailgate on Sundays at 8 p.m. Central Time. Hornet UK 1 2025 is going to be a big year. Based and ginger pilled. There you go, Chad. What's up, Chad? My son was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll go into that later. Chad, thanks for being here. Yeah, hopefully at some point in time we can get that Brandon to give us an update. I don't know if he is actually. Let's do this. Let me send Brandon a message. We got 74 people in here for him to give an update and to shill the donations for kids for Christmas is what I believe it is. Let's see. Can you join for an update? If you have Brandon's cell phone number, please also bug him. The link is in his Telegram. Let's see. Let's see if we can rattle him out here. What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet we can get him at least on his phone? Chad, thanks for being here. Yeah, this is the link to support Brandon. And there's a number of other people that are doing this. Freddie Quotes, I think, is doing it. There are a number of other people who are doing this for Christmas and encouraging folks. Kadium, what's going on? Hello, welcome back. Good to see you. Clintrons, thanks for being here. And there's Taylor. Taylor, Howdy from Aggie Land. Talk about a great place. You know what? If you have not been to Texas, one of the greatest places on planet Earth is College Station, Texas, home of the Aggies. And so, howdy from Aggie Land. I appreciate that so much. What an experience at Texas A&M. Snake Eyes, FY, my family grew, and I finally have a son. Let's stop for a second, folks, and give a shout out to Snake Eyes. Congratulations. There is nothing greater than continuing the family name. And I think about all the hopes and dreams that I have for my own son and my daughters, but there's something special about having a son. So, congratulations for growing the family for so many different reasons. And just, I just encourage you as a new dad, um, you know, write a letter to your son. Write it right now when he's like 0 and give it to him when he's 18. Think about all the hopes and all the things that you have in your mind and all the love and the care, because he's going to piss you off at some point. So you need to have something to remind you of what did my father. And I think about that. I wish I had a letter from my dad from the day week I was born or something, just saying to me, hey, this is who I hope that you will be, son. Isn't that cool? That would be really cool. But anyway, I just want to say congratulations to you and congratulations on your family growing and you have a son. There's nothing like it in the world. Freddie Quotes. He's another guy that's banging it with rags to riches. They're out there suffering for the rest of us. Hornet UK, good to see you. No, Damien. Come on. I'm encouraged now. You're very optimistic and appreciate that. You deserve blessings in your life as well. Thank you. Okay, folks. You guys were able to rattle Brandon. I don't know if he's going to show his face or not because I think he's gaunt. However, it looks like he's on here. And let's see if his audio comes through. Folks, Brandon from Rags to Riches. He literally has the icon of the steak. What's up, man?
What's up?
Dude, thanks for coming on. How are you feeling? We're concerned about you.
Yeah, dude, I feel horrible. So I'm laying on my couch and I'm not moving.
Oh my gosh. So I noticed literally your face looked thinner when you did the walk a little bit ago.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
And I think also inflammation significantly decreases.
So no benefits yet? You're still in the bad part of this?
So it's strange. You feel super tired, nauseous, like dizzy, but then there is like it comes in waves, and when you're not feeling bad, you feel extremely good. So yeah, the ridges and the valleys are pretty extreme right now.
Are you able to make sure you have enough of like electrolytes, I would assume, from fluids, not just water?
So
Okay.
I don't want to drink too much because I actually don't want to pee that much because
Yeah.
you lose more. So I'm drinking maybe 2 bottles a day, 2 or 3 bottles a day.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, so I'll say it for you and then you can reinforce it. The reason you're doing this is not just for your health, but also because you wanted to show effort towards caring for and serving people at Christmas time who are struggling. You've been a huge advocate over the years for kids and families who have been struggling. I was telling people earlier about your video you made with Mike and his daughter. Why are you doing this, Brandon? And where can people contribute?
Yeah. So I'm doing this. Yeah. Again, here's the. I remember when I was a kid. You know, probably from the age of 5 to 10, we got our Christmas presents from like community drives. We were the Toys for Tots people,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and I remember how important it was on Christmas for a kid to have the Christmas experience.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure if we can fill in the gap for anybody during Christmas, then I think it's important for us to do so. I've been blessed with the spotlight. I've got a YouTube channel. I got folks that follow me. So I think with that, it's important to use that for as much good as possible. And if a lot of people give a small amount of money, then we can affect that. So that's what we're doing here.
That's
Um,
awesome.
if you check it out on my YouTube, past 4 videos I've got in the description, I've got ways to donate. You can donate via Venmo or Pulse Chain address, and then also on Twitter. You can check my Twitter and see where that's been posted as well.
And it's at R2R.
Yeah, on YouTube it's at R2R, and then on Twitter it's at Rags the number 2 Riches Fam, Rags to Riches Fam.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
man.
Thanks, man. Sorry you're not feeling great. Are you thankful you did this, or are you
Oh
still
yeah,
suffering?
yeah. No,
Okay.
no, no. I'm fine, man. I knew this was gonna suck, but that's what that's what intrigues people too, because
Yeah.
many people haven't done this. So I'm grabbing the spotlight. I'm kind of suffering for a good cause, and people are helping out. So it's just really a win-win all the way around.
Who else is doing it with you?
So shout out to Freddie Quotes. Freddie Quotes started this with me as well, and then Facing Reality, and also Godfather, and a handful of others. Sorry if I missed you. Just been kind of out of it, so
We
it's been
understand.
cool to build community too, man. Because
Yeah.
these people are going through it with me. They understand. We've kind of been messaging back and forth, just tips and tricks, and talking about our experience.
Gotcha. And so your 72 hours is up what at 8 p.m.?
Yes, 8 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the plan?
Well, I've got 2 plans. The first plan potentially is to order some pho. So,
Oh, nothing
yeah,
like
because it's light, it's hydrating, and then there's a little bit of meat. So, the other thing to do is just, freebase some melatonin, and then time travel to about 6 a.m. tomorrow, and maybe string this along a little bit further. So, I'll see how I feel here in a little bit.
Well, the fact that you pronounce pho correctly, you must be part Vietnamese, and I'm gonna tell you there is nothing like it. That's essentially the Vietnamese ramen, am I right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, buddy. There's nothing like
Oh,
it.
it's
Nothing like it. I
great.
like it hot. I like it hot. Well, thanks, Brandon. I appreciate you so
You
much
hear
what
me?
you do and just your leadership and hang in there. Thanks for leading the way.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Take care, bud.
All
See
right,
you.
bye.
We got the update from Brandon from Rags to Riches in his fasting. Folks, this is it too. These challenges that people join in with you. Freddie Colt, shout out, Godfather J6, Facing Reality, helping out, raising money for kids at Christmas time. And I think it's really poignant that Brandon, shared, hey, we were a family that got gifts, right? Like he was in that position. And, a big thing about Christmas time that I really appreciate is that what is it, when we do give? And it's a picture of hopefulness, right? For kids that are, challenged or whatever it may be, is that this time of year should be a time of the year where you have some hope. And that's the story of it all. And then there's folks like Wakanda. Bro, why are you diversifying into new beep coins? I so see you as a big representation of Richard Hart. Be careful of ruin your awesomeness reputation. Folks, if it was about this stream ruining my reputation, I would have done it long ago. Because if you think about this, the reason I started this channel was because of the Pulse chain. That was 2 years ago, folks. I heard that Richard Hart was going to fork Ethereum. And I thought, I'm not missing out on this. This is an opportunity. And then I met all these OG Hexicans. Now I got into Hex 2 days after big payday, and that's kind of early, but I met all these people who got in really early. And I learned so much, not only from Richard and others, but I realized something. Richard Hart did create the pulse chain for Hex. But we know, and you've seen it in full display, that if we don't have the infrastructure, if we don't have stuff happening, it can't just be you know the coins that you're talking about. It needs to be mature. What was the whole point of copying over the entire system state if not to create legitimacy? And so when I see all these people, and they're getting all kinds of FUD that are launching these projects. We've had a number of them come out. Power City just came out. Liquid Loans just came out. I mean, Mintra's out. And you're like, oh man, everybody wants, it's like the kid in the Willy Wonka, right? I want an Oompa Loompa and I want it now. Everybody has these expectations that are unrealistic. But here's the thing. I am such a big fan of Richard Hart because of his leadership. He is leading the way when it comes to freedom and sovereignty. And in my opinion, there's not one coin to rule them all. That's an old idea, right? That's what Bitcoin maxis are about. Everyone, there's nothing else. Everything should be a security except Bitcoin. And that's the same thing. Everyone in the world should be using Hex to buy everything with. It's unrealistic. And folks, it has its place. But at the end of the day, this is so much bigger than one cryptocurrency. This is about our future and our ability to transact freely, to speak freely, to move freely. Like the authoritarians are on the rise. Folks, the plan is a cyber attack from the World Economic Forum. You just have to read their stuff. The stakes are so much higher. And so to me, the real value here is actually utilizing this platform to encourage people to care for one another, to be thoughtful of one another, to do what Rags is doing, to do what David Lee did when he came to my dad's funeral. None of my friends from high school came to my dad's funeral, but David Lee, a Hexican, came. Folks, I see the value here. There's much, 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 much more. But also, I will reinforce and support what Richard has created because it's excellent. But the big story, the glory isn't about one coin number go up. It's about the legacy of freeing the damn captives from debt and consumer slavery. That's all I have to say about that. Trinity Realm, what's up? Are we still here? Not shaking? We're not shaking. Maybe shaken and stirred a bit. Yes, bring on the ginger giant. I need to see the beard. Well, you saw the steak. He was not up for it. I could tell he did not feel well. All right, here we go, Damien. I bet $1 million that Hex will not go above 50 cents by the end of 2025. Anyone want a smart contract to set up? So you have $1 million, Damien, and you came into my chat to challenge anyone. All right, so here's the question for you. Is it total on both sides, a total value of Hex, or is it just Ethereum Hex, or is it just Pulse Chain Hex? So which one is it and how much is it? And you have to be specific. And so you'd have to have $1 million. There might be somebody in this chat who might take you up on that one, Damien. Praying for you and your son. Dude, how nice. To us, a son is born. Congratulations. Folks are just shouting it out. Thanks so much. My son was the greatest gift I've ever received. Isn't that the truth? I feel like that so much. Thank you. I'll write it tonight, dude. That's the time to do it before your son is a pain in the neck. And it's what a cool thing. You know, you're 18, graduating or whatever, or some big event for your son. But let me just encourage you, Snake Eyes, if that hasn't happened yet. Every morning I go in to wake up my son, and you know, he has to get up early. You know, he's doing some sort of sport, right? So he's 12 now, and we adopted my son. So he came to us at 4 years old, and so he's my little buddy, right? So I got two girls that are older, and of course my wife has mini me's, and they're very close to their mother, and they're teenagers. And then I've got this boy, and he's a gift. I call him my golden boy, and I go in there. And he has a fan that he runs in there to keep the kind of white noise. And I'll go in there and I'll turn on the closet light, and I'll sit on the edge of his bed and I'll rub his hair. He's getting this big old, like, I guess the young men these days want to have shaggy hair, and he has like battled us over growing his hair out. And I'll just sit there and I think about him like, my dad was working all the time. You know, there were all kinds of challenges. And I think about what kind of environment would I want to have? I think, you know, men are always challenged. They're like, we got to provide and money and talking about crypto and all this stuff. There's nothing greater that you can do to provide for a son the confidence of knowing that his father loves him. Period. End of sentence. Full stop. And you do that through your actions. And there's just something about, you know, a son. And so there's some people, I'm a hugger. Me and David Lee like to hug. He likes to hug a little bit more than I do. But touching your children and reassuring them and knowing that, you know what, you might do some stupid stuff, but that's not who you are, right? You separate the actions from the person. You say, listen, I might not be happy with the decisions you made, but I will never, ever stop loving you. And making sure that a kid has one, there's no question that there is love of a father. And I'm going to tell you that for girls as well, is that when they have that, they don't have to go to some other guy and get it from them. And I'm going to tell you, having well-adjusted kids is about them knowing and feeling safe and secure. blessed and protected. And so congratulations to you, Mr. Snake Eyes. I love the profile pic, by the way. You look like you're tough. He is here. That's right. You go, Chad. What's up? Freddie quotes. Hey, um, Rags is a new man. There you go. Goliath Texan, 10 million Texan for Rags, 5 million Texan for each person joining in. Support a great cause. So there you go. Wow. Fantastic. In all fairness, I quit after 48 hours. Rags is a soldier. Fantastic. Freddie quotes, thanks for doing it along with him. That's tough, man. That's tough. I remember watching 1996, if you can believe this, was when the movie, or I'm sorry, the TV show Survivor first came out. And I remember I was my senior year after college. Or no, it was like the 5th year. And it was 1996. And I remember this new show coming on TV called Survivor. And the boat threw everybody overboard. They had to swim to shore and live for whatever period of time it was. And that was the first episode of Survivor, and watched that thing diligently that first season. And what's interesting about it is these people, we saw them in real time going through this, and how sick people got, how just beat down, getting through the bondage of carbohydrates and glucose and all this stuff. And it's amazing. And of course, we'd see in that show, and you've seen it on like The Biggest Loser, you've seen it on other, shows like that, how people kind of get to this breakthrough moment. And so I hope Brandon has that breakthrough and sees like God or something cool comes out of it. Well done, mate. Absolutely. Richard Hart tweet now. What? Okay. Breaking news here on Crypto Heartbeat. Richard Hart. Let's see. All right. Let's see what Richard has to say. Folks, this is fun doing something. Let's see. 7 minutes ago. Here we go. 12 minutes ago. We got a couple of them. Let's see. What's this one? Yeah. All right. Here we go. Folks, I have not read any of this. I'm going to read it here live on stream. This is fresh stuff. Fresh dressed like $1 million. I put on the ballet shoes and the fly green socks. Stepped out my house, stopped short. Oh no. Went inside. I forgot my Kangol. All right. Here we go. Richard Hart, fresh off the press, 12 minutes ago. Did you know the IRS and SEC and Federal Register are all acting as custodians of cryptocurrency via their comment sections? Interesting. They have seed words with money in them. They also have seed words with time-locked Bitcoin in them. They also hosting Uniswap code in PDF form. Do they also owe tax on those seed words they received? They didn't even know what else those seed words might control via different derivative paths and depths. Interesting. So this is what he's basically saying is, one of the things that Richard has pointed out that I think is just absolutely fantastic is the fact that you don't actually have crypto. You have no possession of crypto. You hold keys that enables you to write to the blockchain. And so the value, your tokens actually sit on the blockchain. And it's interesting. And what he's making the point of is that when you publish these things, right, into a PDF, for example, or in the note sections or wherever it is, that you're actually hosting those things. And so the case that they're making to people is that you are, as a security and a holder of crypto. But this is uncharted gray area legally. And Richard's, pushing back and testing those things. That's pretty interesting. So that's one. And then this is the most recent 8 minutes ago. Ethereum, $50 to swap. Bitcoin, $10 to send a few minutes ago. PulseChain.com was invented to get the ETH gas fees down. It does that best when you move load to it. There you go. So the load gets moved to it. Folks, gas fees down. PulseChain was invented to get the ETH gas fees down. Interesting. And that's the effect. So he's put up 2 images here. Let's see what these are. 12,479x cheaper than Ethereum and 34,146x cheaper than Bitcoin. How awesome is that? You know what? In the midst of all of this stuff, Richard Hart is still shilling it. And for folks who say that he's like missing, he's not missing. This is awesome. It's so great. It's so great to see Richard Hart and to be able to bring that to you here on Crypto Heartbeat. Folks, what's interesting is all of the, kind of leaders of the past are gone, right? and Richard has outlined this many, many times in his tweets, that look who's gone, right? Look who's in jail, look who is, and all of the things he's warned about. And now under, attack about buying stuff, right? This is a civil case, by the way. This isn't CZ's Department of Justice criminal case that he pled guilty to. This is actually a civil case, right? And they don't like the fact that he was buying all this stuff. And so they're going to have, you're innocent until proven guilty. This whole fraud allegation and charge, it's like, well, you're going to have to show the receipts of how he used investor money to buy these things. And that's going to be really tough for you. And besides the fact that they're having a hard time serving him, because sending something to a police station in Finland is not the same as serving someone. So we'll see where this goes. But Richard Hart is getting the attention. And the question is, I think in the long term of this, there's redemption to this, and it's going to come exactly at the right time. And that's a big part of this whole thing, the pump stream today. There's so many things that are converging at once. This is a worthy cause. What Richard is doing is a worthy cause, advocating for people's freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of privacy, freedom to transact. These things are fundamental to a civilized society. And what we have found is that people that are in leadership have forgotten that they work for us. I'm going to tell you what, folks. So many people with this whole Texan thing have been saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. And what's evident to me is they don't recognize that your rights don't come from the state. People have subjected themselves. They come underneath the authority of the state. No, that's the whole point of what the founders said in the Declaration of Independence. What did they say? They said, we find these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they're endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. There are rights that are self-evident, that are not given to you by the state, that because you as an individual are sovereign over the state. The state is not sovereign over you because it's the consent of the governed. You give it, it serves at your request. And you don't realize that, but that's why we created government, so that it would serve us. Life, liberty, happiness. We set these things up. And so there comes a time in human events when you have to abolish or change these things. What is Richard doing? Pushing back, advocating for you, advocating for me. Our fates are intertwined. To be successful in all of this, for everyone to win, Richard needs the glory and you need the Lambo. Let's be honest. No, it's a huge deal, folks. And I hope you don't miss the point of all of this. I mean, Richard has seen the future, and all of this stuff is going to work itself out. But let's not forget, we're still pushing this rock up the hill. That's why you don't see a bunch of people pumping the candles. They don't do it until the ball is rolling down the other side. And these are the leading indicators of that they're going to turn the money printer back on. They're going to stop raising rates. In fact, they're going to cut them potentially 3 times. They changed the gap accounting rule so you can put fair value crypto on your balance sheet. That's going to help your bottom line, right? We're seeing these indicators. But then when this thing starts under its own weight rolling downhill, there's a ton of people within our community, 140 plus influencers and communicators about this that aren't making money. I don't make money from this, right? Volunteer their time to shill this stuff. Maddie Allen is doing a Hex conference in January 6th through 9th. It's going to be huge. Why? You're going to bet on the community. Folks, when it's time, it'll be time. And when it rips, it will rip. Shake the people out, folks, right? We win in the end. Why? Because I think advocating for people's freedom and sovereignty, you cannot go wrong with, because the human heart, I don't care what it is, the human heart is designed for freedom, period. You can't keep people down. You can try, but you've seen it throughout history. There's an amazing will within the human spirit, and it's reflected in Brandon not eating, right? Self-discipline. Folks, thanks for joining the Pulse today. I am just, I'm excited. I really am. I'm truly like, okay, I'm looking out into 2024. I'm anticipating the new year. I'm seeing these leading indicators. I recognize what's happened in the past, and this is going to be exciting. But you're not in the wrong place. because there's a lot more benefit than just number go up. But don't compare yourself to other ones. Have the correct perspective and contribute, right? In the speculative world, which is ultimately altcoins, which is, I mean, it's a casino, folks. It's all about adoption. And so, do we have a good narrative? Yes, we do. Is it going to get really much, much better when all these rules and all these clampdowns and all the things that they want to do to demand that you have a government wallet with the CBDCs are coming? Yes. I think we're on the right side of this one. Thanks for joining. Take care of yourself and do not mess with Texas. Take care, everybody.